And I got it.
Sorry.
All right. Everything we ask through your son's Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So, so around that, what I'd like to do as well is introduce everybody to, and I have a green screen. So because of the logo, it's changing a little bit there. But I just want everyone to know that we do have officers in place now for the Southwest chapter. And with that, our vice chairperson is Chris Hodges from Dobson. He did the first presentation of the reconvening of the chapter meetings, and he may join us shortly, but like everyone, we're trying to balance the day job, right? So, or day work. So then around, yes. And I'm glad Shannon, our treasurer, our secretary is able to join us, and she is going to be taking minutes and so forth. I'm going to ask you each to share a little bit about your bio that are officers. So for right now, we have Shannon as our honored secretary. And then we also have Jim Henson, not of the Muppets, but but Jim is our treasurer and a vast experience. So Jim, I'm going to allow Shannon to speak. Normally she has ongoing meetings and wouldn't have been able to join us. So maybe the weather, I don't know, but I'm glad you're here. But if you can give us a brief about yourself, and if you are affiliated to a tribe, people, please let us know that. I'm a Caddo member, enrolled on the Caddo Indian Nation out of Oklahoma, Binger, Oklahoma. And so with that, Shannon, you have the floor.
All right, thank you, John. I'm Shannon Barczak. I'm a part business owner with Dioc Architects. My husband, Tom, is my partner. And we started Dioc about a year ago. And we're getting to learn a lot of new things, learning a lot of application processes, and completed a lot of those things. Some of them are pretty tedious, and some of them are just, they don't take very long. But you know, kind of what got us here. First, I'm an enrolled member with the Crow tribe, also known as the Salaga, and I have family member too that I have family that are also registered with Kiowa tribe, Cherokee tribe. In some cases, you're only able to go with one, and I am with that, but hopefully things don't change. There might be some changes coming up too with my tribe that I may not qualify for that tribe any longer, but if not, then I just have another one waiting on me that I can qualify for here in Oklahoma. Hope to not have to do that, but anyway, so there's some recent changes. People are getting in and looking at different things, and so I'm a social worker. I have a master's in social work. I started out as case manager and then did that for a few years and went to therapy, worked with youth and adults who experienced trauma. Did that for about 4 or 5 years, and then I became a director for a program that provides integrated care. And then now I'm a clinical director overseeing federal grants that we just received and making sure that we implement the changes with that. And I'm doing that along with the new business and getting that established. And we have 6 children, 5 teenagers who all are up and ready to like drive. Our youngest one is just turned 15. He's already asking, well, when do I get a car? So we're trying to get planning around that. And then our youngest, our daughter is she's 3, so she's not asking for a car, just the battery operated one. So maybe we'll have her come around for Christmas, the holidays. But that's about it for me, and I'm grateful to be the secretary here, and have enjoyed the time that I've been able to serve so far.
Thank you. And I know we have a
Thanks,
lot
Tom.
of work ahead of us. With that though, Tom, I don't want to take any of your thunder here, but I would like to have you, Shannon, can you explain the name of your corporation? Because I think it's important, and I
Sure.
love the honor and respect you gave that. So Shannon, if you could explain that, that would be great.
Yeah, so my husband and I, we came up with the name Dioc. It's crow to make. And you know, back then, whenever with the language, I mean, you didn't find architect or architecture in the Crow language. I mean, you don't even find like cows in the Crow language because they just weren't over during that time. But we did want to kind of focus on something that, you know, we were able to reflect back to the tribe and what you know, kind of what I identify with, and that's kind of how we came up with the name. It's to make and to build, but in doing that, that's how we came up with the name.
Thank you. I love
Well
that.
said.
I'll second that. And so with that, Honorable Jim, if you, and by the way, Shannon, again, thanks for all your work with social work and childcare and raising such a wonderful large family who I look forward someday to meeting all of them. So with that, let's go to Jim.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jim Henson here on the mountainside, just overlooking Mount Scott and the beautiful falls here on Gondola Lake in Medicine Park. My fiance and I came to Medicine Park in 2017, and we've enjoyed remodeling a 100 and this year 22-year-old cobblestone archaic cabin, and we've added our special touches to it. My background is in education. I'm a retired art, theater, and English educator, professor, working from kindergarten all the way up through university level. I'm not Native American, but my DNA analysis suggests that I have a very minor indigenous that throws me all the way back to the Mayans and the Aztecs in central Mexico. And I've always had a fascination for indigenous cultures. I was the director of the Red River Valley Museum over in Vernon for several years back in the 80s, late 70s and 80s. And I gained a really strong appreciation for Native cultures, and Lawton was one of my go-to places for tying the history together, and people on post were very welcoming, and done a lot of painting and sculpture related to Native Indigenous history. And the locals here, both tribal and the museums, were very open armed through my early art career and history, opening up the museum so I could costume and do some very authentic artwork that reflected the indigenous culture of this area. I'll give you a little preview of one of my art pieces. I don't think John or anyone has seen any of my art pieces. So toward the end here, I'll hold up one of the pieces that I'm working on. Another fascinating thing about me is that during COVID, I took up the Native American flute, and that has been a real blessing to my life. I've been doing that now for 2 full years. So I'm getting pretty proficient in using the vibrational quality of the native flute to invoke great spirit and prayer. And we've got a lot of renewed interest in neo-shamanism now, and indigenous cultures. And those are all areas that I'm fascinated to study and work with. And my ultimate dream goal for becoming secretary of the Southwestern chapter is I really want to see us do a lot more fundraising so that we can offer scholarships and possibly even special financial assistance to young people who are engaged in furthering indigenous culture, the flute, the art, all of those things which reflect a modern usage of the tools and techniques and everything that the tribes have to offer around here. So that's where I'm hoping to be a real say blossoming force to help with seed money to get us done. And with that, I don't have a down to the penny account of where our fund stays, but we have just over $5,000 in our Southwestern account. That's the report I can give at this time. I'm still awaiting being delivered the checkbook and getting all the paperwork in. So I'll throw this out to John that anyone who can help me out with that. I'm still checking the mailbox and all. I think I've signed all the paperwork and everything. So just waiting for the checkbook to get here to keep everything up to date. That's my story.
Well, thank you. And also he has a background of being a mayor in Texas of a growing town and community. So again, all that knowledge we look forward to you bringing and sharing with all of us. Right?
Thank you. That is correct. Yes, I was 4
Okay.
years mayor in Lakeside City and love these small communities and towns. And it's a great place because mostly when you're in a small committee and town group, you do see some of the reflection of the global political division. But the fortunate thing when you're working in a small community like this, everybody seems to be having each other's back and keeping things moving in a very challenging political and economic and certainly medical time.
Yes, and we look forward to helping grow the community of Medicine Park and culture, which is very important to all of us. And I believe that with Tom, there's I'm sure projects that are going to be in and are in that area that we want to help support and grow. Also,
John,
I'd like
let me ask you one quick question and then I'll turn on my listening ears. Do you have an accurate count on what our membership is right now for the Southwest chapter?
yes and no. And by that, I mean, we have the listing, but when I send out these email blasts, sadly, a lot of, and I went around town as well doing door knocking before COVID, and a lot of emails are bouncing back, being that they're either not in business or not around. And that is one of the emails that I believe I sent to all of our board to get that corrected. I might as well share with everyone as well. We had our board meeting yesterday. So yes, Jim, they want to get that to you. Bailey brought it up as well. Please follow up with Russell Tucker. You have his email.
Absolutely, yes.
And Bailey, and they have it all ready for you to go. And I know Shannon's taking copious notes for the secretary. But all of that, and just so everybody knows, there's ongoing costs and overhead. So what I found out that was reported in the meeting, just if you want to note it, Jim, is that yes, we had over 5,000, which I'm honored to say is larger than some of the other chapters had. What they do is they take and keep our budget at 2,000 for 2022, and the remaining dollars go into a pool or a kitty, if you will, to help take care of marketing and other aspects of things that the chapter needs and has to pay for. And you can imagine with the different chapters and events and so forth. But that includes, like for this event, Tom's marketing piece that we sent out. Red Sky was paid to put that, together. So everyone needs to be paid for their work, but we can also always offer some discounts and things. So just so you know, that's where it's at right now.
Excellent.
So there's that. And with that, I'm going to ask Bob Moore, if you can go next, sir, and thank you.
This thing off.
There you go. You're on
Here
now.
we go. Hello, Jim. I'm actually
Hi.
in Madison Park today.
Awesome.
So I
Nice.
represent Hillary Communications, Madison Park Telephone Company. So I do a lot of their stuff. And I actually live in Norman, not far from Tom's office. So that I do a lot of political things and done a huge amount of tribal projects over the years.
That explains the gray hair. Just kidding. Go ahead. Sorry.
But I was fortunate enough back in the 80s to help start lots of several housing authorities, including the Comanche Housing Authority, and got enough money out of HUD for 8 years, built 1,000 homes. So
Thank you.
And I helped start Comanche Tribal Bingo, which is now the casino world. But anyway, they're every night for 2 years. So that was a fun, exciting thing back then. So now the question is, we got to move forward, keep helping people.
Yes, absolutely. Can you explain I'll call it the two-pronged fork? I know you wear more than that in hats, but what are your two main areas that you focus on?
Well, I do
One
commercial
being
financing.
Hillary.
I do commercial
Okay.
financing, and I'm involved in lots of things from SIP walls, a company that does SIP walls, and that needs 2 architects to look at.
Yeah.
And again, I help rural broadband. People get rural broadband across the country. I do been involved in a lot of stuff with the USDA on grants and loans on the farm side and on the ag side, the telecommunication side. But so I've done lots of stuff with the USDA.
Great. So commercial financing, and then around that is that his focus with Hillary? And
No,
he's
I've always done commercial. That's what I do, is commercial financing, and I do
Right.
financial consulting work.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. But I'm just wanting to point out as well, and he's been very gracious in sharing some networks that I've reached out to as well, and am working to do that for all of us and myself. Tom, before Barbara, I just want to, time-wise, you're okay for about a 20-minute presentation?
Yep.
Okay, good. So Bourbon, I'm glad you're here. And I just want to say that I have worked with a lot of, and I'm sure many of us have in some way, of some of the things that your firm offers. And I encourage all of us to attend some of your meetings and events as well, because I know you guys are there to help. So with that, if you can share, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Bourbon Hamilton. I'm the Senior Procurement Counselor for Tribal Government Institute, Native PTAC. So PTACs is a Procurement Technical Assistance Center. We have we're funded by the Defense Logistic Agency to help small businesses and pursue government contracts, or the whole government contracting cycle, close to finish, and getting your certifications. We're funded different than the SBA or some of the other small SBDCs, small business development centers. We're out of the Department of Defense. So when the federal government shuts down, we don't shut down, because we're appropriated out of the Defense Logistic, or the Defense Authorization Act. Our office is in Norman, and there's a different kind of PTAC. There's 96 offices in the nation, but there's only 6 Native American PTAC. We go off the Bureau of Indian Affairs regions. So Southern Plains and Eastern Oklahoma is our region. So basically Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. So we we help support those tribes and their tribally owned small businesses and the natives in that area. Although you can use any PTAC you want to, the most famous is the National Center, NCAID, because, you know, they have a conference in Las Vegas.
Mhm.
The other one is Oklahoma PTAC here in, they're out of the OTEX. So with theirs, they're out of the state of Oklahoma Tech Center. So they're only statewide where we go through the BIA regions. You can use anybody you want, but mostly tribes are with us and native owned. We can open doors the state can't.
So what I'm hearing is that we can go to anyone, but you guys are the best. So go to you first.
Probably, yeah, absolutely. We offer a lot of training, free training. We subscribe to Govology, and where they probably put 2 or 3 webinars on a week. If you all you have to do is be a client, and then we can get you that conference code. If not, if you don't want to be a client, it's like $75 to $125 each webinar. And then they also have a library of other things, old webinars you know want to look into. And then we offer the one-on-one counseling, which I've been wanting to call you guys, and got your app right here on my desk. But you guys are down the street, I guess, here in Norman.
Yep.
Eyeglass Drive. I don't know where that's at. But we're on Main Street, Main and Peters,
Okay, we'll need to meet up.
at the Vista Building.
Well, thank you. And I would love for you to follow up with me, Bourbon. You have all my information. I put it in the chat and it's also on the screen. That number is my cell phone. I'm here in Lawton in our regional office. So before you go, Tom, and we haven't had, let's see, I got someone else waiting to get in. So let me just give you a brief on myself. I'm of the Caddo Indian Nation, grandson of Chief Silvermoon of the Caddo Indian Nation, world famous Native American Indian artist and actor. And he was the first Native American to get a reoccurring role in the silent film industry, which started in New York and ended up in Hollywood. And with that, his mindset had always been entrepreneurialism to help our Native people grow and develop. And so like he did with his artwork. If you ever come across any paintings, they're in different museums and cultural centers for Chief Silvermoon, which is his artist actor name. But that is the legacy that started, which carried on with my mother, who helped start and found the Southern California Indian Center, being that I grew up in California. I was born in Burbank, California, by the Warner Brothers Studios, etc. And so with that, she helped found that with my cousin, Randy Edmonds, who is Randlet Edmonds' son. A lot of you may know the Randlets from Oklahoma, but I mean the Edmonds from Oklahoma. And like Shannon, I have relations in pretty much all of the tribes nearby. So that carried on. And then my background is I got into banking and finance, and I wanted to be recognized as the best in the industry, which was a huge goal, but I accomplished it. I'm the only real estate mortgage trainer in the entire United States ever, or to this point, to get a letter of recommendation on ethics and non-predatory lending in banking finance on my 30-year proven system. And the book I wrote, which is a manual, is The Millionaire Loan Officer, which is ideally communication, networking, and business development. So I've worked with pretty much every state in the US and around the world. I am world renowned recognized. I've probably trained over 100,000 plus people. And being that we have a project in Fort Coffee, Oklahoma, up by Tulsa, and working to help rebuild Black Wall Street, which is also right in the area of a lot of our traditional cattle lands and tribes now known as the Five Civilized that are up in that area. So we've been working with that, and I'm also a member of the World Conference of Mayors and Black Historical Towns and Communities. And as you know, there's a lot of mixed in our races, and yet a lot of the rights have not always been recognized. So we work with that and helping to grow business and development. So my main focus has always been housing, financial literacy, because most of the challenges, Shannon, with your background, I'm sure you'd agree, stresses and problems that take place out in the world start at home because of financial stress and not understanding business or finance. And a lot of the tribal nations that get per caps, those are still not being managed properly to build generational income and self-sustainability. So I'm all about self-sustainability and being self-sufficient, as all of our tribal nations are supposed to be, whether they're sovereign or still only state recognized. So that's in brief my background, and occasionally I offer free webinars, and I did that for over a year on some of the materials in my book. And you can go to my email me, and I'll share with you the John T. Moss website, which has free downloads regarding my materials and my methods of, sales and communication. These are just some of them. But the idea is that most people in the business world, in today's world, I should say, don't use proper communication. And that's where a lot of, as we know, with contracting and procurement, I'm sure Bourbon can relate to that, is just lack of proper communication. And those things cause challenges. And Tom, I'm sure, will speak to some of how I've worked with housing and architectural projects that weren't communicating things properly, and the project had to be rebuilt, torn down, and start over. And those are the huge costs, and Indian country faces a lot of that at times too. So that's a brief on that. And then with that, I started our nonprofit Cash Community Development and a DBA, which we've been known for with our working with more of the commercial projects, et cetera, is a Native American Trade Information Office. So that information is there.